Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing my July and August reading wrap-up. Most people on BookTube do a monthly wrap-up, but I don't usually read enough in a month to justify that, so I decided to do one every 2 months. It's been a really interesting couple of months filled with sci-fi classics, epic fantasy, and a few books that honestly left me a little disappointed. Now I've read 5 books in total, so there's plenty to talk about. And before I dive in, I just want to say, if you're also a slow reader or like to savor your books, doing a bi-monthly wrap-up can feel much less stressful. Alright, let's get started. Let's start with the first book, which is Timescape by Gregory Benford. I had some pretty high expectations. It's a Hugo and Nebula Award winning author, and the premise sounded incredible. It's time travel mixed with climate catastrophe and some quantum physics. I actually started this book way back in March, so it took me a while to get through. Mainly because I lost my first channel around the same time I started this book, and so there was a lot of other stuff going on in my life. And when I started this second channel back up in July, I also decided to pick it up again. But honestly, this one just didn't really work for me. I think my biggest struggle was the pacing. The book spends a lot of time on technical descriptions, and I can definitely appreciate hard sci-fi. It got a bit dense and dry at times, and I also struggled to connect with the characters. They felt more like vessels for the science rather than real people I could relate to. One thing I did like though was how much thought Benford puts into the scientific concepts. It's clear he's passionate about physics and time travel, and you can see the depth of research, but it just wasn't enough to keep me fully engaged. But if you're someone who really enjoys heavy scientific detail, this might be worth checking out. But for me though, it was a bit of a slog. Next up is The Gunslinger by Stephen King. This is the first book in the Dark Tower series. Now, this one I really enjoyed. Right from the very first sentence, I was pretty much hooked, which honestly doesn't happen very often for me these days. It's dark, mysterious, and kind of dreamlike, which fits perfectly with Roland's journey across this strange, decaying world. I love how King slowly reveals the world. It's like peeling layers of an onion. There's mystery, danger, and a hint of the surreal, which kept me reading late into the night. That said, I know this book divides readers. It's slower, a bit cryptic, and sometimes it doesn't give you all the answers. But for me, that's part of the charm. The mood and atmosphere really drew me in, and I can't wait to continue with the sequel, The Drawing of the Tree. And next up I read The Elfstones of Shannara by Terry Brooks. This is the second book in the Scenario series, and I actually enjoyed this one a lot more than the first. The first one I thought was a huge disappointment, but in this one Brooks really seems to find his own voice, which makes the story stand out more. And the story follows Will and Amberle on a quest to save the dying Elcris tree, which protects the Four Lands from a demon invasion. There's a lot of classic fantasy here. Ancient prophecies, magic and danger, and some parts were genuinely exciting. That said, some of the pacing issues from the first book carried over in this one. There were some stretches where the story slowed down, and while I liked the stakes, I didn't strongly connect with most of the characters. One thing I did appreciate is how Brooks really fleshes out Amberle's journey, her struggles, courage and growth are some of the strongest parts of the story. And if you enjoy traditional quest-based fantasy, this book is definitely worth checking out. And it reminded me why I love exploring these magical worlds. The sense of adventure and stakes just pulls you in. Next up is Neuromancer by William Gibson, a true cyberpunk classic. And I really wanted to love this one, but I struggled with it. Gibson throws you straight into the deep end. There's no hand holding, and you're expected to keep up with the tech and the slang and the setting right away. And some readers love this immersive style, but for me it made the story harder to follow and connect with. That said, I can absolutely appreciate its influence on the genre. You can see Neuromancer's fingerprints all over modern sci-fi. The ideas of cyberspace, AI and hacking really set the stage for everything that came later. I think I would enjoy it more on a second read, knowing what to expect. Sometimes the first experience with a groundbreaking book can feel overwhelming, and maybe that's what happened here. And finally we have Magician by Raymond E. Feist. And wow, this one completely blew me away. I think it's easily my favorite book of the year so far. This book is the start of the Rift War saga, following Puck and Thomas as they're swept into a interdimensional conflict. And I think the world building is massive. There's politics, magic, war and cultures colliding. But what I loved most was how easy it was to follow. It feels epic without being overwhelming. And the pacing kept me hooked from start to finish. Puck's journey from an ordinary boy to someone extraordinary is very compelling. And the supporting characters are fantastic too. To be honest, I haven't been this invested in a fantasy world in a while. Every chapter left me wanting more, and I can't wait to continue the series. So that's everything I read in July and August. It was a pretty mixed couple of months. Few books I loved, and also a couple I struggled with, and at least one I'm still thinking about. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Did you enjoy Neuromancer more than I did? And was Timescape a hit for you? Or are you also reading Magician or The Dark Tower right now? Let's talk about it in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.